Welcome to Geopolitics in Conflict. This time we're going to provide a weekly report about the oil prices and why all of a sudden price of oil went up. My name is Dr. David Oualaalou.
And my name is Dr. Ross Stewart.
And you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict.
David, I was just at a gas station filling up my car. Prices went up. And you know what? The price of oil is now over $50 a barrel. What do you make of that?
That's correct. It just happened actually Monday. Monday, because there's now tensions going on between Russia and Saudi Arabia. And why those two countries? Of course, because they are the two top producers of oil in the world.
Right.
Except one of them is a member of the OPEC. One of them is a member of the OPEC Plus, which is Russia. So, and all this didn't happen just like yesterday or the day before. This stems from last year before the pandemic started, the lockdown and so forth. And why is that? Because back then, people start to travel less. Nobody's flying, so oil prices, there was so much oil on the market.
Oh, yeah.
Prices went down. So back then, it was the arrangements to cut production. So this time around, Saudi Arabia wants to cut production, but Russia says no. That's what Saudis moved forward with the decision by cutting 1 million barrels a day. Of course, the moment you cut production,
the price goes up.
Price is going to go up.
Shocking, right?
Yeah. However, this is not going to be permanent. This is again where speculations comes in. This is where oil speculators try to push the prices saying, oh, the prices of oil is going up and all that stuff. No.
So one of the things that means is if you're in an industry where you have to pre-order a year or two or three by contract energy, wait.
That's correct. Yeah. If I were advising those individuals not to go ahead and place the order now, because you give it a month or two and price is going to go down again because there's so much oil out there. And remember, the United States contribution to all this. Now you got three main players in the world: United States, Russia, and Saudi Arabia. But even with all this, we're not even thinking about what if Iran cut down production? Because Iran is an OPEC member.
Oh, yeah.
Given the tensions that's going on in the Strait of Hormuz now, given the latest, Iran has took an oil tanker, South Korean oil tanker, detained the crew, and their argument was that because South Korea holds about $7 billion of Iranian money, so they need to give it back. But that's not the point. The point in all this is the impact on the oil prices itself. So my argument with all this is that this increase in oil prices, it's not going to last.
Temporary.
No, it's a temporary, because sooner or later, because here is now, you already start to hear about the second wave of this pandemic,
right,
in Britain, even here in the US. What that's going to do to travel industry?
Well, we already know that domestic flights are down 78%.
Yeah.
International flights are down 90%. So the airline industries have been terribly impacted, and they're not buying fuel.
No, they're not. And same for us. We are not driving as much as we used to. And you can just see, so why the price of oil is going to have to go up when there's so much oil on the market. It just the way it's going to work, its price is going to drop back down.
And some of these economies, they can't stop production and make it too low, or their economies fail.
Like what happened for us here in the U.S., in Eastern Texas.
Yeah.
Remember when the prices dropped? I mean, remember, we went to a negative at some point last year. That just gives you an idea. You can only cut so much. As a matter of fact, some U.S. Small operations cease to exist now because they couldn't.
It's amazing. We're here in Dallas, and so we have the opportunity to talk to people who are in the oil industry. And they talked about all of a sudden, all these rigs became available, all this equipment became available because the exploration had shut down.
Yeah.
Because there was no demand for their product.
Yeah. And usually the one thing that I know about the Saudis when it comes down to the oil industry is they'll manipulate the market one way or the other, because their main concern is to always have the United States depend on Saudis. Remember, we import about 60% of our oil needs, or energy needs that is, from Saudi Arabia. So can you imagine if you start to say, well, do we need to bring that oil from Saudi Arabia? They're not going to like that one. So they're going to have to create whatever needs, they're going to do whatever needs to be done to ensure our dependency on importing oil from the Saudis. So they tend to manipulate the prices.
And you know, the consideration we've talked about over and over again is how much it costs to get oil out of the ground in Saudi Arabia versus what does it take to get oil out of the ground in the United States. The price differential is pretty substantial.
Yeah, well, when it costs you only about $9 to $10 to take oil out of the ground versus $27 or so in the U.S., it's a
significant.
big difference. Yeah. There's also the argument about the electrical car market. That's kind of, well, Tesla produced last year about 500,000 vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is now the emergence of that electric company in China, NIO. But NIO, you're not going to see much from it now, because that will be probably the next decade. I would say 6, 7, 8 years before you start hearing anything about that. But even with that, the size of the Chinese economy will always require oil. And this is why the predictions for what they're going to need by 2030 will amount to about 16 million barrels a day. So they're going to have to figure out, you know, this is why they cut deals with the Iranians, with Russia. So China brings oil from a different, even the U.S. recently, they bought oil from the U.S. So, which I'm sure it was just like, I don't know why they did that, but just to calm the nerves of the Americans.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
They did a pittance. I think it was something like,
no, they didn't.
It was a very small amount.
Very small amount. Yeah.
But it was a purchase.
Exactly. So for them to say, hey, we are fulfilling our obligations under the negotiation trade phase 1 or phase 2, whatever that was.
Well, our politicians can claim a victory. Yeah, right.
That's the name of the game in American politics. This is why things are going some directions that, you know, Americans needs to wake up. They really needs to wake up, you know.
So what would you say is the important takeaway for our viewers on the changing oil prices?
Well, it just, you don't have to be alarmed by it. This is gonna pass. Like we always say, it will go for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Prices will go down again because the Saudis cannot sustain the cuts forever. Because remember, the unemployment in Saudi Arabia is in the double digit. You got a massive population between the age of 18 and 30 with nothing to do.
That's dangerous.
That is dangerous. So Saudi Arabia's internal dynamics are not good. So it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time because you got a massive growing young population, but again, unemployed with no prospects whatsoever, depending on what the monarchy is going to have to give them. At some point, it's going to reach. It's at the boiling point right now. So the bottom line is that the price is not going to stay like that forever. You know, we've heard this before last year when speculators were saying, oh, no, just because of the pandemic and the price is going to come back. It did not.
3 years ago, I filled up at the pump at $1.67. And I said, I'll never see this again. I actually took 2 pictures of it.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I filled up for $1.64.
Wow.
It went up and down.
Yeah, it just literally, the prices for oil is subject to not only supply and demand, of course, but also speculations. And this is just name of the game.
So the bottom line here is stay calm. Oil prices are going to stay low.
They will.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other videos. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
And as always, stay informed. Till next time. Bye-bye.